Welcome to the Ask Dr. Khan Show. This is episode 150, and you're just one whiteboard away from solving your health puzzle. See, after 150 episodes, you figure I got this down. So I'm Dr. Peter Khan, functional medicine practitioner, and on the show, we're going to give you information that's going to help you really to understand the underlying root cause of why you're having a symptom. You see, we don't want to just treat the symptom. It's one thing to list out the symptoms that you have. It's another thing to understand where those symptoms come from. So we're always going to do you one better and teach you how to understand the underlying physiology, because I believe that you're smart enough to understand it, right? Most doctors talk down to their patients. They just assume they wouldn't get it. People who follow my videos and follow my content are intelligent individuals. So I'm just going to give it to you straight up, but give it to you in English instead of in fancy Latin so that you get it, okay? So today, we're going to talk about the functional medicine approach to hormone balancing, okay? There's a field called functional endocrinology, looking at hormone from a functional model. Now, what's the difference? In conventional medicine, hormones is treated like, it's a disease, right? If you have any kind of hormone symptom, it must automatically means that you don't have enough hormone. So then the treatment is hormone replacement therapy. They want to give you some type of hormone medication, and sometimes they'll say, well, we're going to give you bioidentical hormone because bioidentical hormone are similar or identical to your own body's hormone, so it's better than synthetic. But the premise of that is still treating a hormone deficiency, assuming you have a hormone deficiency. And many times, the lab tests just don't justify a hormone deficiency. I see a lot of people come into my practice with chronic symptoms, fatigue, headache, inflammation, depression, anxiety, hot flash, night sweats, can't sleep. All these symptoms that is assumed to be a hormone problem, and maybe, but it's assumed to be a hormone deficiency problem when most of the time it has nothing to do with the hormone deficiency, but everything to do with your body's ability to process, to synthesize, or to transport, or to utilize the hormone, right? That's more common. So today we're going to show you where the problem may be coming from. So let's talk about hormones. For any hormone to work, it has to have these steps. And it doesn't matter if it's thyroid hormone or your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Every hormone, sex hormones especially, has to go through these steps. So number one is hormone activation. Okay? Activation. What does that mean? That means something in your brain, somebody has to tell the glands to make the hormone. Remember, the glands are nothing but factories that make the stuff, but somebody has to send the order to the factory to make the stuff. So you got to go above the glands, right? So if you say I have a thyroid problem, you got to go above the thyroid gland. You got to ask, okay, what glands or what part of the anatomy is telling the thyroid gland to produce the hormone in the first place? So there's activation. Number two step is synthesis. This is where the hormone is actually made, typically in your glands, right? The endocrine glands. And then you have transport. So after you make the hormone, you have to be able to transport it from the gland to the rest of your body, okay? And then there's peripheral conversion. What does that mean? So that means your body has to convert the hormone from an inactive form to an active form. This conversion is critical because if you cannot convert the hormone into a usable form, it doesn't matter how much hormone you have. You're still not able to utilize it. So that's utilization or conversion. Next, after you convert it, then there's receptor binding. So what that means is the hormones doesn't do you any good just floating around your blood. It has to get into the cell where it's actually going to stimulate something. And for the hormone to get into the cell, it has to bind to a receptor. The receptor on your cell surface is kind of like the door or the gate. Right? So the gate has to be open for the hormone to flow in. So you can have receptor site problems that can prevent you from utilizing the hormone that you have. And then we get into intercellular transduction. So this is where between the cells, you have to be able to send messages. There's mediators and chemical messengers that kind of help transmit the messages between the different hormones. And then lastly, we have transcription proteomic response. That means once the hormone gets inside the cell, it has to actually talk to the nucleus, the DNA, to tell the DNA to do something. Hey, make more protein, speed up metabolism, right? All this requires that DNA transcribe that message from the hormone to actually do something. And then lastly, one more step actually, we have a cellular response, right? So the cellular response is what we're after. So it goes from here down to here, but most people just think, oh, hormone and then cellular response. You want to have better thyroid function, lose weight, more energy, less hair loss. You want that cellular response. Adrenal hormones, you want more energy. You don't want energy crashes. You want to be able to handle blood sugar properly. You don't want sweet cravings. Cellular response. Estrogen, you want to have no hot flash, night sweats. You have a good libido. Your skin is good. Cellular response. That's the end target result, but it has to go through these steps for that to happen. Now, interestingly, when you do blood tests of hormone is simply measuring this right here. It only look at this, and that's it. Blood test is just a spot check, right? When they draw the blood, the moment that blood is drawn, what is the amount of hormone floating around your blood at that moment in time? That hormone blood test tells you nothing about activation, tells you nothing about transport, conversion. Well, you can ascertain that, assuming your doctor ran total and free fraction protein, and I'll discuss that in just a little bit. It tells you nothing about receptor function, intercellular transduction, how is it getting into the cell and actually being utilized. So the blood test only tells you one aspect, but it doesn't tell you all of it. And this is why blood test for hormone is very misleading. A lot of times people just think, well, this tells you how much of hormone I have. Yes, but it doesn't tell you whether you can utilize that hormone, whether it's being transported, whether you're converting it, whether it's getting into the cell. That's why so many people struggle with this. You have to be able to order the right test, and you have to also look at it from this functional model, right? Functional medicine approach to looking at hormones. Even if you did the right test, if you didn't know how to interpret it or didn't understand what it means, you're still not going to be able to come up with a game plan. And a lot of people go to, natural alternative practitioners. They're given supplements. They have some tests done, and then they're not really explained to them why the things are the way the things they are. And they're given supplements or bioidentical hormones, and that's still just treating the end result, symptom, or a band-aid instead of addressing the root cause. So let's take this concept and overlay it over here and show you how that would play out from an activation perspective. What does that have to happen? First, we have to have hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is a hormone gland in your brain that typically make releasing hormones. And these releasing hormones will stimulate another gland in your brain called the pituitary gland. So the pituitary gland and hypothalamus are neighbors. They live right next to each other. So when the hypothalamus releasing hormone stimulates the pituitary gland will typically make stimulating hormones. And these stimulating hormones from the pituitary gland will stimulate the actual gland themselves, whether it be a thyroid, adrenal, your testes, ovaries, right? These endocrine glands, when they stimulated by the stimulating hormones, it will produce the actual hormones. So now we have hormones. Now, most of the hormone, once it's produced, are bound to a protein. And this protein is called a binding protein. Why is that important? Because when you have this hormone bound to a binding protein, this hormone becomes inactive. Now, why would your gland go through the trouble of binding into a protein and making the hormone inactive? Well, the thing is, say, for example, thyroid hormone, if the thyroid hormone came right out of the gland active, and if all the hormones came out of your gland active, right away it's going to have a physiological effect. And what happens is your cells, your body doesn't need a whole bunch. It makes a whole bunch, but doesn't need a whole bunch. So if all the hormones were active, you're going to just get overdosed by the hormone. In the case of thyroid, you just become so hyperthyroid, you probably get a heart attack and die. So your body will bind this protein to make it inactive, and also the binding protein help it to travel through blood. That's how most of the hormones are traveling in the blood. In fact, 93 to 99% of all the hormones are traveling in the form of this inactive hormone, which is protein bound. This allows it to be transported. Remember, we talked about transport. So we have activation, we have synthesis, which is blend level, which is what the blood test is measuring. But then you also have transport here, which is bound to the binding proteins, okay? Now the binding proteins, some of that will become free fraction hormone. The free fraction will be the hormone without the binding protein. The binding protein's been taken off, okay? So some of that will end up in here, and that's usually, very little, right? 1 to 7%, depending on which hormone you're talking about. Very small amount of your hormone is in the free fraction. Now, let's go this side first. These bound proteins, some of it will become free fraction, which actually become usable. Most of it, though, will come this direction, which will be processed by the liver. Or some of it will actually go straight into the gut and get processed by the microbiome, which is the bacteria in your gut, right? All the organisms, the healthy organisms that are supposed to be there, the gut bacteria, the microbiome, also process some of these hormones, okay? And then some of these will get processed after it gets processed in the liver, will go to the gut, okay? And then the microbiome then and the liver will both eventually, with the help of gallbladder, remove it to the bowel, your colon, for elimination. Some of these will go from the liver, and it'll make these hormone metabolites. What are these hormone metabolites? That means these hormones are being broken down into a different chemical so that your body's trying to eliminate it, but sometimes these hormone metabolites doesn't get completely broken down. And some of these we're able to eliminate through the bowel, some of it we're able to eliminate through the kidney, and then that's how it's going to exit out of your body. So then we have what's called hormone clearance. So the hormone have to be cleared because majority of your hormone is not used by the body. It's like a reservoir, like a backup system. Your body will only use a tiny fraction of it, 1 to 7%. So the rest of it has to be detoxed, eliminated, and it's done through the liver, the gut, the gallbladder, kidney. Eventually, you poop it out, you sweat it out, you pee it out. Has to be eliminated. The part that you do get to use, called the free fraction, right? So now we have these free fraction hormones. They have to bind to the receptor sites, okay? So we have receptor. Remember we talked about that here, receptor binding, right? So here we have transport. Before this step though, we even have conversion. Some of these hormones have to be converted as well. They may have to convert from a T4 to a T3 in a thyroid hormone example. And we'll talk about thyroid hormone next week. So we'll kind of overlay this whole concept, how it might work for all the different hormones. We're going to take it one hormone at a time, okay? So this free hormone have to get on the receptor to be able to enter into the cell. Once it enters into the cell, then we can have a proteomic response, which means the DNA of the cell, when stimulated by this hormone, will start to make proteins, metabolize, do different things, and then we have that response that we want, the metabolic effect, which is that cellular response, right? Whether it be more energy, good metabolism, proper weight management, proper hormone function, good brain function, that's all the metabolic effect. That's what we want, right? That's the desirable. But it has to go through all this process, you see. And then what happens is some of these hormone metabolites will become partially detoxed. Let's just use that word. Okay, it's really partially metabolized. But these partially metabolized or partially detoxed hormones actually becomes more toxic than the original hormone. It becomes something that's more dangerous for the body. And what happens is these partially detoxed hormone can recirculate. If it's not eliminated, it'll come back into your circulation. It'll recirculate in a more toxic form, and this can cause, in specific type of hormones, especially like your female sex hormone, estrogen and so forth, can actually be a risk for cancer. And then these partially detox hormone can actually interfere with the receptor and cause your hormone to not be able to go into your cell. So this is where, if you're not detoxing these hormones properly, it can actually interfere with your body's hormone utilization. This has nothing to do with the fact that you don't have enough hormone. In fact, you probably got way too much that you can't detox and it's starting to interfere with utilization. Another thing that can interfere with this receptor is endocrine disrupting chemicals. The scientific community actually has a short for it, acronym called EDC, endocrine disrupting chemicals. And these endocrine disrupting chemicals can also disrupt receptor sites and interfere with it, so that it doesn't matter how much hormone you have or don't have, you can't utilize the hormone you got. And that's what's much more common than people with a hormone deficiency. You see, in Western medicine, and even in natural alternative medicine, the approach to hormone is purely right here. Everybody is addressing it right here. They think the problem's here. You don't make enough hormone. You just don't have enough, so I'm going to give you replacement. When you're taking estrogen, progesterone, what are you doing? You're just taking a hormone replacement. You're replacing the hormone that you're supposed to have, but they're assuming you don't have enough. Most of the time, though, the test is either done wrong, so you only see synthesis, but you don't even see all the rest of it, and the problem is really somewhere else. It's more of a receptor problem, dealing with these chemical toxins, or you're just not detoxing the hormone properly. You have somewhere in this chain of event, something's happening that's not happening at the gland level. But the treatment everybody else is giving you is all targeting the gland, which is just hormone replacement. So here's the cool thing. This is all modifiable through nutrition, supplements, lifestyle change. So can we intervene at this level? Let's just say right here, you see the microbiome? We can influence the microbiome through diet, supplementation, through doing certain type of gut detoxes. So for example, if you have too much of the pathogenic bacteria, we can give antimicrobial compounds, natural antimicrobial compounds, to help cleanse the gut of these bad bacteria. And we can give you probiotics or short-chain fatty acids like butyrate to populate the good bacteria, and therefore improving gut function, and so that your hormones can actually be metabolized better. So now, by doing this approach, you get a double whammy of good things, because not only your hormone gets eliminated properly, you get to balance your hormone naturally, but you also improve your gut function, which may be causing you problem in another area. Like for example, you may have gas, bloating, IBS. So you basically fix the root cause, and you actually got health benefit instead of just treating a symptom with a drug. Okay? Now, can we address the liver through nutrition and supplement? Absolutely. We can use vitamins, minerals, because liver detox is very much a nutrient-driven process, amino acid based. Glutathione we can do. So there's a lot of things we can do at the liver level to help it along. How about gallbladder? Absolutely. There are things that we can do to support gallbladder function, using supplementation, eating certain type of food, or avoiding certain type of food. How about in the bowel, in the colon? Is there anything we can do there? Absolutely. Fiber is a great one. We can also use, again, the microbiome, the probiotic influence here. We can also use certain type of detoxifying clay to help you bind to intestinal toxins. How about kidney? Absolutely. There's nutritional supplements and protocols like beet and different things that we can do to influence kidney function to help your body eliminate better. How about dealing with these hormone metabolites? Absolutely. One of the things that we use is called DIM, diinolylmethane. And this is a compound called estrogen detox. It is a supplement that we use that specifically help you to get rid of these harmful, especially estrogen compounds. Okay? How about over here with this EDC? Well, that comes from testing. You need to identify whether you have chemicals in your body, and we have tests that we can do. And this is not something your Western medical doctor under the managed care insurance will offer, because there's no drug for that. How you handle that is, again, lifestyle change. You may have to eliminate certain products or chemical from your personal use, from your household, and you may have to do specific type of detox to bind to that. So this is, again, much of this is not a disease, but it's an imbalance that can create symptoms that can just make you feel downright terrible. But when you go to the regular doctors, they have nothing to offer you except more drugs, which can throw this whole thing off of balance. When you take a hormone, when you don't need it, and you take a hormone, you can throw off many things. You can throw off the pituitary gland, the hypothalamus, because this all works on a feedback loop. Your body makes a hormone, and it has to come back, and this whole thing is a cycle. If you take a hormone when you don't need it, or you overdose with it, what happens is you're going to throw off your hypothalamus, you're going to throw off your pituitary, you get glandular suppression and atrophy, so that means you cannot make hormone anymore on your own. You're going to throw off your binding protein process. You're going to tax your liver with excess hormone to detox. You can potentially create more hormone metabolites, which create more partially detox hormone, which will really mess with the receptor side. And a lot of this stuff all mess with the receptor side. Another thing I should mention here is that hormone replacement therapy, taking a hormone, whether it be a synthroid, levothyroxine, taking estrogen, some type of hormone, it can all mess with the receptor. So besides chemicals and these partially detox hormone, another thing is that just the medication, the hormone that you take that you think is supposed to help you, can throw this off. Now, I'm not saying that there's never a time or place to take a hormone. There is a time and place for it. There's a time, a place for medication. There's a time and place for everything. It's just that a lot of times, people are taking the hormones without someone taking a look at this whole feedback loop and analyze where the breakdown might be. Many times it's due to a blood sugar imbalance. It's due to an infection of some type, suppressing of the hormones. Many times due to these chemicals or due to a stress response. It's due to anything but the hormone itself. So if you are already taking hormone, right, how do you know if you're benefiting from your hormone now? If you're already taking a hormone and you still have symptoms that's not resolved, then that means either you didn't need the hormone in the first place, or the hormone might be needed, but you have other areas that need to be fixed as well on top of the hormone, but it's not being addressed. And that's why you still have symptoms. We can help. That's what we do in our functional medicine practice, that help you identify the root cause and actually give you a comprehensive program to address toxicity, nutrition, lifestyle, supplementation, and a holistic integrated program so that you finally have an answer and you know exactly what you're doing and you know exactly the result you can expect by following a proven approach. And that's what we do. So hopefully this video helps you. Please like this video and share this video with those of you who you know are taking hormones but still complaining of symptoms. Maybe it's yourself, maybe it's your loved one, maybe it's your coworker. Please share this video. This is so important. Many people are duped into thinking hormone is a solution to everything. Hormone is important, but taking a hormone medication or hormone replacement is not the solution to everything unless you address the underlying root cause of why you have the hormone problem in the first place. We're going to discuss more of this in the following weeks. So again, like and share the video. Please follow me on Facebook at Hope Integrated Wellness or on YouTube at Peter Khan DC. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week at the Ask Dr. Khan Show. Take care.